the hands of James Banks right at halftime. Another one was the blocked field goal return for a touchdown against Notre Dame and the 31-7 comeback. That whole thing was sparked by that blocked field goal. And it's one thing to block a field goal. Another thing for it to land right into Floyd Miley's hands and him to run the other way down the sideline for a touchdown. And the Arkansas one, yeah, that's number 2 up there. The reason I had that one number 2 to the Florida Hail Mary was, believe it or not, there was just a little bit amount of skill involved in that Arkansas fumble, because part of the trip did happen because Billy Ratliff got a push on the snap. If anybody pays attention to it, he was the one who pushed the offensive lineman back that Sterner tripped over. Now, still a lot of luck involved, but that's just something, that's an interesting tidbit right there.
Yeah, and I mean, that would be the first one that I would think of, is the Sterner fumble, like you said. One that I'm thinking of, what else can I add to this? I remember a couple of Tennessee-South Carolina games, and maybe the one time that Lou Holtz could have beaten the Vols. I don't know if he ever did it, because he certainly didn't that one game in Notre Dame. I recall that Tennessee hit on a 3rd and 26 to beat South Carolina, and another time in 2007, the last division title year, I remember a late recovered fumble, one of Tennessee's own fumbles, that they actually gained yardage on, and a lineman fell on it and all that, and this caused the Volunteers to win a close game against the Gamecocks and really keep them down at least for one more year under Steve Spurrier, and that helped them win their last division title to Tennessee. But yeah, I think those are pretty good selections right there of what you have, and you get this by reading allfortennessee.com. Allfortennessee.com also was one of the first websites I saw, or first media outlets, that really talked about this story in The Athletic about, Tennessee, they really should have hired Gary Patterson, and it could have happened. And I got to tell you something. I think there's a bit of revisionist history in that article, because I do remember 10 years ago, you do too, and it was all the rage to hire the head coach who had just maybe even failed, we can say, in the NFL. Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Dave Wanstead, they were all winning. Wait, here's Lane Kiffin, young, up and coming, brash. The fans loved him initially. Did you kind of see that as sort of a revisionist history article? I mean, yeah, sure, you could have had Gary Patterson, that's great. The Pirates could have signed Steve Carlton. Well, that's revisionist history too. I mean, do you follow what I'm saying? What did you think of that article there, Caleb Calhoun?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's revisionist, because I do believe Gary Patterson would have been interested in the job. I think I think it is judging with a little bit of retrospect, but I've always, the number one thing that's always annoyed me about college coach hiring, or coach hiring in general, is everybody tries to emulate the success that somebody else has. I mean, you're seeing it now, by the way, with, I firmly believe Michigan hired Juwan Howard because Penny Hardaway was succeeding at Memphis with recruiting. I firmly believe that happens a lot of times in sports. And, you saw that the year after Kevin left, I mean, the big selling point for Mike Hamilton to hire Derek Dooley was the fact that, he worked for Nick Saban, and Nick Saban's coaching tree is superb, and all of this. And so I think that, I don't know if it's revisionist as much as, Hamilton wanted to make a splash hire to energize the fan base. I think that was a mistake. I think you go with the best guy, and I'll say this at the time. I was a Tennessee fan at the time following. I wanted Brian Kelly. I thought it was ridiculous not to take Brian Kelly over Lane Kiffin, given what he had proven at Cincinnati and Central Michigan. And then the next year with Derek Dooley, I thought Kevin Sumlin was the better hire. That may not have worked out, but it probably would have worked out a little bit better than Derek Dooley. But, maybe it wouldn't have. I mean, I understand the situation as to why Dooley was hired. But Lane Kiffin, I thought, on its face, was a much less qualified hire, and there were... And it's one thing I give Fulmer credit for this, although I'm more in your camp, Marky, in that I think Tennessee should have hired Mike Leach last year. But I will say that at least Fulmer, when he made the Pruitt hire, he didn't really think about what was going to be the splash hire that excited all the fans. He thought he did his time, he did his homework, and he thought, I think this is the best hire for Tennessee. And whether or not he gets it right remains to be seen, but he didn't just overreact to the emotion of the Tennessee fans at the time.
My opening monologue, Caleb Calhoun of AllForTennessee.com, was talking about ETSU just released their start times for their football schedule, and all that. Tennessee, they won't give their start times really until, the games are scheduled for TV. They say 2 weeks before they're played or so, the vast majority. We do know that they'll kick off against BYU at 7 p.m. on September 7th. ETSU is going to kick off against Shorter, whoever they are, at 7:30. And I said, if you're ETSU, you just cannot worry about when UT kicks off. You got to run your own ship, and all this. But where I'm going with that is I started thinking, although, BYU Tennessee is the far better game or matchup, let alone, skill level of SEC versus Southern Conference. But I said, that could be the bellwether game for Jeremy Pruitt. Is it too early to say that? Is it realistic to say BYU and Tennessee could be the bellwether game for Jeremy Pruitt, in your opinion?
Here's why I'm holding off on saying that. I remember, and it's a different situation than it was back then, but I remember 2011, and it was Derek Dooley's second year, and I said the same thing about Cincinnati, which was his second game, and I considered that to be the bellwether game. It was their toughest non-conference game. If they won this, they would likely go undefeated out of conference the first time in, I think it would have been 2006 in the regular season, and they destroyed Cincinnati. And I thought, Dooley really has the program kind of going in the right way. And then the season collapsed. And then the next year, the same thing happened when they beat NC State at the Georgia Dome in the first game, and then the season collapsed again. So, don't get me wrong, I don't think he can't lose to BYU. But if he wins against BYU, I'm not going to use that as a barometer yet to see what happens the rest of the way. And point of information, that Cincinnati team in 2011 ended up winning the Big East under Butch Jones as head coach.
Cincinnati at that time in the Big East had a very good program. I remember they went undefeated in 2009. So, you mentioned Brian Kelly right there, at least until they made the bowl game. But anyhow, we're talking to Caleb Calhoun of AllForTennessee.com. I'll say this, maybe it is too early to say a bellwether game for the entire career of Pruitt, but I do think if Tennessee wins the BYU game, we can talk about a bowl game. Of course, who doesn't make a bowl game these days? But still, that's a step in the right direction. Haven't done the last 2 years. If they lose, that's all I'm going to say. Could be a long year. And that's the importance of the BYU game. We'll just go with that right there. Hey, Cooper Mays is going to be a Tennessee Volunteer, 4-star tackle. His brother, of course, when Butch Jones was fired, then decided to go to Georgia, where he's been getting some playing time right off the bat and such. How big was it, do you think, that Cooper Mays went to UT? Is this the Eli Manning sort of the Tennessee offensive line coming into Knoxville?
I was thinking about that since Cade Mays went to Georgia. I think Cade Mays would have ended up in Tennessee if it hadn't been for all the drama that had gone down in 2017.
Sure.
I don't think anybody can blame him for deciding to go to Georgia at that point. But it is kind of similar because no one talks about this, but when Peyton Manning chose Tennessee, let's not forget Ole Miss was about to go on probation. Program. And so
it was the last TV ban. They were about to get the last TV ban. That's how bad Ole Miss's probation was. Of course,
wow.
that Ole Miss on probation. What years are they not on probation? I mean, that should go hand in hand, right? I mean, but no, they.
Exactly.
Yeah, there we go. But no, that is true. And also, I've often felt LSU was really down at the time. Would LSU have had a chance? Because that would have been, he's from New Orleans. Would that have been a possibility if it was? And Tennessee was at the time, advancing to where they were the top football program in the SEC for at least 1 year in '98 or so.
Here's the other quick parallel. Cade Mays committed to Georgia with Jim Chaney as offensive coordinator. He's now Tennessee's offensive coordinator. Eli Manning committed to Ole Miss after David Cutcliffe took the job at Ole Miss. I wonder if they hired Eli Manning to David Cutcliffe to get Eli.
You not only have that great connection, but off the air, you told me the Tennessee offensive coordinator connection between, Manning, Breeze, and Brady. Go ahead, give that. That was brilliant.
Yes, Manning, Breeze, and Brady. All of their college offensive coordinators at one point or another were Tennessee's football offensive coordinators. Obviously, David Cutcliffe. Now, obviously, Jim Chaney. Brady. He did coach Tom Brady.
Lloyd Carr.
Kind of interesting connection.
Yeah, there you. I did not know that, I did not know that before you just told me. Lloyd Carr, by the way, originally from Churchill, Tennessee, volunteer high school. That's Hawkins County, just outside of Kingsport. Just to give you right there. Most people around here would know that, but yeah, I know you there being originally from Memphis. That might not be right there in your geographic expertise. But I'll tell you what is in your expertise. It's covering the Tennessee Volunteers and doing so with a true journalistic flair. He's Caleb Calhoun. The website is allfortennessee.com. The restaurant that sponsors this is Asian House. They're open right now, 10% off if you mention my name. Right there on your way to Jonesboro, Shops in West Market, 32111E West Market. Go there now, and we'll be back with Adele Harris talking about her new book. She's the chief of staff for Jerry Stackhouse. She used to coach at Tusculum.
WEM